This is not a kid-friendly show.
Yo, what is really good, my dudes? Welcome to another RuneScape news coverage video. Today we're going to be going over a devlog by Dolan covering NXT, where it's been in the first year of its existence and what we can expect in the future. So without any further ado, we're just going to jump right into the devlog. So it says here, believe it or not, it's been over a year since NXT was released into the world. In the beginning, 50% of you started playing immediately, and since then we've observed a steady incline of conversion from the old Java client to the new NXT version. As possibly the largest project in the history of RuneScape, we had a responsibility to you, our community, to ensure the highest possible quality in the required time frame. We hosted 2 closed beta tests to gauge player reactions to the new client and were blown away by your reactions, feedback, and bugs. Over 30,000 bugs were reported during both weekends. That's 60 times the normal amount of reports we take over a normal weekend. To our surprise and delight, quite a few of our beta testers launched petitions on the RuneScape official forums and Reddit to keep NXT open to the public. This feedback helped us develop a timeline towards a release date. After a few meetings, a bug fix checklist, and a month of running around the office like a demon ferret, we released NXT. As bold and stupid as it may seem, releasing NXT before ready was totally necessary. RuneScape is a gigantic game. It's absolutely massive. On average, it takes around 400 days to complete, 9,600 hours. With an ever-growing library of content, it becomes unwieldy very quickly. Even with our entire QA team, it would take 2 solid weeks each to experience the entire game once between all of us. Alas, there's more. We support Windows, Macs, and Linux to a certain extent. That would mean we need to run through the game 2 more times. If you include the epic range of vastly different GPUs, CPUs, HDDs, SSDs, drivers, and operating system types. XP, Vista, Mountain Lion, 32-bit, etc., rotating all their possible combinations, this goes from 9,600 hours to testing around 96 million hours of testing. Unfortunately, I would find it extremely difficult to even live this long, 10,959 years. Despite the challenge, we managed to get NXT to a point where around 90% of people could play without running into any crashes, which was considered acceptable considering we had the Java client as a backup. When people talk about automated testing, the first thing that comes to mind are unit tests. They're really great and reliable for ensuring that a certain portion of your code actually does what it's intended to do. But we knew we needed a more practical approach for testing graphics, related features, and a wide array of graphics cards and operating systems. Our Compat Lab Compatibility Laboratory is a continuous project that was started quite a few years ago, and due to new hardware coming out every year and the fact that we aim not to deprecate older machines unless we absolutely have to, it has never stopped growing. We're now at about 40 machines, and for each NXT release we'd run tests on each of those machines at least once. We also run a thorough compatibility sweep with each graphics heavy branch that goes in for testing. Done manually, this would be an exhausting task, more than a full day's work for one person. Therefore, we've automated the process by selecting a series of locations and actions that will thoroughly test a set of graphics features for NXT. Then, using an in-house system, we got each of the compatibility machines to communicate with a web client, which would tell these machines to run certain tests and come back with performance data and screenshots. All a tester would need to do is then browse through the results and see if any of the results could pinpoint a potential problem. This freed us from doing routine checks and gave us, in turn, more time for exploratory and destructive testing. Unlike conventional QA, Tech QA works systematically different. Our bug priority does not follow the conventional trivial blocker scale. NXT bugs are classified by impact, visibility, and request. An example of this would be crash when depositing in trouble brewing on an Intel 520 card. Dyed items aren't as bright as Java. Player disappears briefly after eating or drinking. If you thought that crash would be fixed first, you'd be wrong. Up to 0.2 of our players suffering from a potential crash from content hardly used is not a critical priority. If you thought that the dyed items would be fixed first, you'd also be wrong. Your E-date outfit is not that important to the global population. If you thought players disappearing briefly after eating would be prioritized, you'd be correct. This affects everyone and is very annoying and has probably been reported 200 times in the past hour. Issues that affect everyone, are extremely annoying, and are reported by everyone in their pack yaks are normally the first to get fixed. This doesn't mean we don't care about the uncommon issues, actually quite the opposite. Unusual, obscure bugs tend to unravel core flaws in our system, allowing us to make more impactful fixes and optimizations. So yeah, thank you for having obscure PC setups. We have plenty of tools at our disposal in NXT. We're quite lucky as Java didn't have such an extensive library of graphical debugs, and these are used to help us identify bugs in the 3D game world more easily. We also have extended telemetry information in our display FPS command. Here's an example of some of our visually interesting debugs we use. Normals, used to the direction that surfaces face, represented by color. Emissive, used to show which models are emitting light. Shadow capsules, used to show the directions of shadow projections. Picking, used to show the click boxes on models. LOD viewer, used to display how models are affected by the level of detail system. To a person who does not know what they're looking at, this might look like a RuneScape modern art installation, and I would agree, they look broken and noisy. I know what you're thinking. Whomever can acquire information from this must be either a wizard or some sort of time lord. And you would be half right. I do have 99 magic, though I am still trying to work out this whole time traveling thing. A while ago, I was testing soft particles, which proved much harder than looking at various particles in-game. I found that it was almost impossible to see the difference, similar to comparing deep pink to magenta. Luckily, a debug was added with the ability to change the severity of particle softness, making it so that I could physically see the difference and making testing so much easier. Recently, we've switched from a 2-week release schedule to a monthly schedule. We saw fewer critical bugs cropping up, and the rate of bugs appearing in Jira, our development tracking tool, was gradually slowing. Although the volume of new bugs has decreased, we are still actively seeking bugs from your reports, Twitter, Reddit, and the RuneScape official forums. There's still lots to do in preparation for the big Java switch off, but first, we plan to have most, if not all, Java functionality in NXT before we think of pulling the plug. I hope for a day to dawn in the not so distant future where the only excuse for not playing NXT is because of old school. Keeping on top of 2 code bases is extremely restricting. In the past 2 months, we have ninja'd features into the game without anyone but Pseudobash knowing. Shakes fist violently. Volumetric lighting and normal maps have been fully integrated into NXT. I'm super excited for you to see them in all their glory come next week. We're also working on some super top secret stuff which I dare not divulge. You will just have to wait and find out. It may be worth noting that our developers are not full-time bug fixers. While we are aware that there's still a fair amount of bugs in the game, features, optimizations, refactors, and content requirements that are still ongoing and sometimes come before minor fixes. The RuneScape technical QA team thanks you for your continued support, bug reports, and suggestions. NXT has developed so much over the past 14 months, and it certainly couldn't have been done without you. You guys are awesome. Cheers, Mod Dolan and Mod Noldor, technical QA engineers. So yeah guys, that covers the dev blog regarding NXT and a year look after and what we can expect in the future, especially next week come with Manifest. We can expect volumetric lighting and a whole new city that really takes on NXT and utilizes it to its max to bring you a very beautiful area. That being said guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, liked it if you liked it. If you're not subscribed yet and you want to stay up to date on all things RuneScape related, then hit that subscribe button. I promise to keep you up to date. Anyways, I appreciate you watching, my dogs. I am out. Peace.